Welcome back. This is Teresa with My Crochet Obsession. I'm so excited to bring you my newest creation, the Kaleidoscope Pullover Sweater. The reason I named it that is because each of these blocks began to remind me of a kaleidoscope, and we make it with this beautiful mystery yarn. Then we have a tutorial to how to make that yarn. I'll put the link in the description. Before we begin working on our kaleidoscope sweater, I wanted to show you some other ideas for using the mystery yarn. This is a sweater done in the moss stitch with the solid color gray ribbing and sleeves. Here's a close-up of that woven linen moss stitch. Here is a vertical stripe that I did just in double crochet with a mock turtle and ribbing. I haven't decided if I'm going to put ribbing on the bottom. You tell me what you think. My idea for the vertical stripes was to be slimming. I don't know if that ribbing's going to help. Here we go with a horizontal scarf. I did just a close-up of those stitches. This is another scarf I made with the mystery yarn with vertical stripes. And no mystery yarn list would be complete without a blanket. Here's a corner to corner child's blanket in progress. When I get finished, it'll be a 40 by 48 inch blanket. And that brings us to the topic of today's tutorial, the kaleidoscope sweater motifs. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook because most of my yarn in my cakes is worsted 4-weight yarn. But you use whatever hook size works best with the majority of the yarn in your cakes. Now, while I'm talking about the mystery yarn cakes, I just wanted to point out that you could make this sweater with the same type of effect, perhaps with a really busy variegated yarn, a striping yarn, or by making each round with a different yarn from your stash. Just as no two of these blocks are alike, no two kaleidoscope sweaters will be alike. And that's what I love about this beautiful wearable art sweater. Before we begin making these motifs, I'd like to encourage you to watch the video all the way to the end, and that's where I will discuss how many of each of these motifs you need to make in order to complete this sweater. I will be having 2 to 3 other parts to this tutorial series in order to complete the sweater. Enough talk! Grab your yarn and your hook and let's get cracking! Like always, we will begin with a slip knot. You may choose to make a chain up ring of 3 or 4, whatever you normally do. Make a ring and then chain up 2 or 3 to count as your first double crochet, and then double crochet 11 more stitches in that ring for a total of 12 stitches. Or if you prefer, make a slip ring. I do a double ring for my slip ring and then chain up 2 and then 11 more double crochet inside that ring. Notice how smoothly the transition between the 2 colors where the knot is, as long as that knot is very tight and small. Most of the time the knots land in between the stitches. Adjust your stitches on the ring as necessary in order to get all of them inside the ring and still be able to have the tail to grab onto in order to pull the ring completely closed. The double slip ring requires a two-step process to close. You see here we're closing it to where the two strands of yarn meet one another, and then count the stitches before you close the ring completely. I have my 12 stitches, so I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that first chain up that counts as my double crochet. And then I slowly, the important thing to do in closing your ring is to do it slowly. And there you see it's completely closed. And now we're ready for round 2. Hook your slip stitch, find the post and go in between the two posts before you chain up to the second row. Chain only one because we are going to begin a double crochet 2 together. The first one is different from all of the rest of them, but insert the hook between the two posts, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops again. Chain 1 and insert the hook between the next 2 posts. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert your hook in between the posts again, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That is, and then chain 1. That was your double crochet 2 together and a chain 1. This is your pattern repeat for the remainder of this round. At the end of the video, I will take just a couple of minutes of your time to discuss with you how many of each motif that you need in order to complete your own personal kaleidoscope sweater. In part 3 of this series, I will demonstrate the joining method that I'm going to use and discuss all of the other acceptable joining methods. This double crochet 2 together is getting the best of me. It seems like every other one I'm having to back out and start over. And we made it. Let's count our 2 double crochet together in our chain spaces to make sure that we have 12. All right, I like it when a plan comes together. So slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet. And then, like we did before, we're going to jump over to that chain space between the 2 double crochet 2 together and chain 2. We're going to make a corner here. We're beginning to square up this circle motif. So we chained up 2 and then an extended double crochet. Chain 2. An extended double crochet begins like a double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into that same space, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And that is the one of 2 types of extended double crochet. Now, in the next chain space, we want to put our 3 double crochet, our Lancaster granny stitch, or granny Lancaster stitch. 3 double crochet. In the next chain space, we need those 3 double crochet, the granny Lancaster stitch again. And then we're coming up into our corner again. just like this one, double crochet, extended double crochet, yarn over, yarn management here, got to pull out some yarn, insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 1, pull through 2, and pull through 2, and chain 2. Extended double crochet again, double crochet, and then begin the pattern repeat again. And it is 3 double crochet in the chain space from the previous round, another 3 double crochet in the next chain space from the previous round, and we're coming up on the corner. For the corner, insert the hook into the next chain space, double crochet, extended double crochet, chain 2, extended double crochet. I've got a hang up here. Try that again. Extended double crochet and double crochet. And that is your pattern repeat for the remainder of this round. In part 3 of this series, I will have a diagram of the layout of your squares, as well as demonstrate a really cool, in fact, it was a mind-boggling join as you go technique for these squares or any other type of crochet motif. And at that time, we will also discuss other types of joins that could be used in this project, in the event that you choose not to use the same join that I am using. And here we are. We've arrived at the very first corner that we put in, and we will slip stitch into the top of that first chain up that counts as a double crochet right there. Slip stitch right into the top. And that's what our work looks like so far. Now, you will notice that our sides have a bit of a curve. And then it seems like the corner kind of bumps out. And the reason for that is because our center motif in this square is round. We're going to fix that in this row. We start out in our corner again, slip stitch into that corner, and chain 2. Extended double crochet again. Chain 1. Extended double crochet. And double crochet. Now in the next chain space, it's not a chain space, it's just a space between the stitches. Insert 3 double crochet your Granny Lancaster stitches. In the next space between your Granny Lancaster stitches from the previous row, 3 half double crochet. And these 3 half double crochets are what's going to pull in this row in order to keep it square. And in the next space, 3 Granny Lancaster stitches of 3 double crochet. And then we're at our corner again. Double crochet, extended double crochet, knot shows, but he's going to have stitches over him. And that's our pattern repeat for that side, but you see that it is getting straighter. And by the time it's blocked, and we'll talk about that in a moment, it will be perfectly square. And then you chain only one in the corners, another extended double crochet, and a double crochet to finish that corner. And this is your pattern repeat for the remainder of this round. We're coming up on that center space where we put the 3 half double crochet. It's the only difference in this particular square than some of the other things that we've crocheted before. I encourage you to hang with me until the end of the video, and you will be able to screenshot one of the slides in order to have all of your instructions for how many of each motif to make. And then part 3 will be joining method. Again, notice as we do the color change here how smoothly the knot between the red and the black just glides right through. The color change transition is just not an event. That knot went right where it needed to go, and we won't even see it. Part 4 in this series for the Kaleidoscope sweater will cover and demonstrate the neckline as well as the edging for the sleeves and the bottom of the sweater. And we're coming up on the end of this round. We will slip stitch right there in the top of the chain that counts as our first double crochet. Slip stitch into the top 2 loops. And slip stitch again and pull up your yarn. I didn't slip stitch there, but you can slip stitch again and pull up the yarn and then pull it tight. And here you have it, another unique Kaleidoscope square. He is unlike any other square that I've already made. Notice how by changing that middle stitch to 3 half double crochets, it pulls in that rounded area and makes it square. And it's all because of only 3 half double crochets. And here's what the work looks like on the back. Notice that I don't have any center yarn, the tail to pull because I crocheted completely over it. Now I want to show you how to weave in these ends on these blocks. The important thing to do is not pinch your stitches and pull them down where this actual end spot shows. So I come in around the stitch on the other side and then come back through in the same color. Normally I do a 3 pass, but I didn't leave my yarn long enough. But the thing that I do that is what's the most important is I come back through this same stitch where I did the first pass, and I wiggle that needle around, purposely trying to catch fibers from that first pass. And then clip the yarn. I think he'll be fine. And what follows is an optional step. I am very adamant about my leveling up my work, and one of the ways that I do that is by blocking squares so that the corners are nice and defined. And then the joins, when you get all the blocks put together, the joins look really nice and clean. It looks very professional. So I've already pre-measured my block and put my little pins in there, and I spray the square on both sides. I mist it lightly with water, and then I just put it on the blocking board and let it dry. This is called wet blocking and is optional. And this brings us to the spot block. It's a very small block, but it's very effective in the detail that it's going to add to our sweater. You see it's small, it fits in the palm of my hand, and very quick to make. To crochet this little jewel, you'll need your mystery yarn or whatever main yarn you've chosen to make this sweater, and you will need your neutral or your solid color that you have chosen to join your blocks with and to frame this small block. Just going to check this knot. Yep, he's still holding. And just as always, I'm going to use my 5.5 millimeter hook again. You're using whatever works with your yarn. And we will begin once again with our double sliding ring. If you choose to use the chain up ring, then you go ahead with whichever way you're comfortable with. So pull up a loop and chain 2 after you get your ring. And that counts as your first double crochet. And then continue with 11 more double crochet inside the ring. The first half of this square is exactly like the Kaleidoscope square. Once you have all of your 12 stitches, you will close this ring with a slip stitch in the top of the first chain. That counts as a double crochet. Count your stitches to make sure that you have 12. It's very important to have 12 to make this little block work. I have to laugh here. I had 13 stitches in this block, but it was an easy fix. And once you have your 12 stitches, I'm double checking here. Not that it's going to matter. It's still 13 stitches. And as I've demonstrated before, this double slip ring does take a 2 process to get the ring closed completely. Now that I've closed it the first time, I'm going to close it completely. And notice how tight that is in the middle. And now we're ready to slip stitch into the top of that chain up that counts as a double crochet. And slip stitch again. Pull up a loop, clip the yarn, and a slip knot. Pull that slip knot to the back so that that knot won't be right on top of your ring, and then we can crochet over it with ease. The remainder of the spot block is different from the Kaleidoscope block, and you need your other yarn. Once again, begin with a slip knot in the solid color that you've chosen. and you will insert your hook between any two of the double crochets from the beginning round. In between, not in the top of the stitch, in between. And pull through the 2 loops. That's a standing single crochet. And then you will chain 3. That counts as a double crochet and a chain 2. And then double crochet. Now you have formed your first corner in this round. In between the next 2 posts, you'll put 2 double crochet together, just as we did in the big kaleidoscope. Yarn over, insert the hook in between the posts, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert the hook again, pull through 2 loops, and then pull through all 3 loops. That's your double crochet 2 together. Now we're at our corner. Double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. That's going to be your pattern repeat. Let's do it again. Insert your hook in between the posts. Double crochet, 2 together. Double crochet, 2 together in between the next 2 posts. And in the corner, double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. I'm crocheting over my yarn ends here. Feel free to do that. And that's your pattern repeat. And that is also completes this block. It's only a ring and 2 rounds. Whenever you come to your yarn ends and crochet over them, it may require a little bit of finessing like this, especially if you have a little knot back there like I do. You notice here I have an extra double crochet in my ring. I must have had 13. I'm not going to frog it out. I am going to put in my 2 double crochet together. I'm going to have them in 2 different stitches on the bottom. I am just not going to frog that out. It's a simple fix, and hey, it works for me. It won't even show when I get this sweater finished. And slip stitch in the top of your chain up that counts as your first double crochet. And that is the end of the spot block. So pull up a loop, clip your yarn, and put a slip knot, and pull that slip knot again back to the back so you won't have to deal with him anymore. And this is your adorable little spot block. Now you'll want to weave in these yarn ends, even though you've crocheted over them. Just go back into where you've crocheted over them. Just go back in one more time. Now this, the end tail, you'll want to go ahead and weave it in 3 ways. But that is the adorable little spot block. Just as demonstrated in the Kaleidoscope block, I will mist these lightly and put them on the blocking board until they dry. Again, this is an optional step. Our final motif for this sweater is a triangle kaleidoscope. This is actually my favorite block. Again, you're going to need your mystery yarn or whatever main yarn you've chosen. This block is different than the other blocks in that we will be turning when we get to the end of each row. I do that so that I avoid having a lot of ends to weave in, and in the big scheme of things, it doesn't matter that this is a reversible block and the others are not. It's not even, no one will even know. Again, notice how different these are, just like the other blocks, no two are alike. And that's what I love about this sweater. You will only need your main yarn, your mystery yarn. Once again, we will begin with the double slip ring. Or you may begin with your chain up ring if you so desire. Insert your hook and pull up a loop. Now on this one, you need a longer chain of 3. Yarn over and add 6 double crochets. It's half a block, so we need half of the kaleidoscope block, so we need 6 double crochets inside our ring. Because this triangle is so different from the other 2 blocks, I will be demonstrating it step by step. And our 8th stitch in this ring is an extended double crochet. Both ends of our half circle have extended stitches because we need extra length here. It is the hypotenuse of our right triangle. We remember from geometry that's the longest side. Whatever kind of ring you made, pull that tightly, but not cinched up as tight as the other blocks. I actually have this one a little too tight. And when we get there, I'll show you where it is cinched too tightly and how it kind of puckers that long side. All right, now we need to chain 3 because we still need this side to be the longest side. Yarn over and turn your work. Double crochet in between the 2 posts from the previous row. Chain 1. In between the next 2 posts, you're going to do a double crochet 2 together, just like we have done in the other 2 blocks. Chain 1. Double crochet 2 together. And chain 1, and repeat this pattern to the end of this round. And between these last 2 posts, place a double crochet, and then in the top of that chain up from the previous row, place an extended double crochet together with that stitch, the double crochet from the previous post. That was clear as mud, but that's the best way I can describe it. If you need to pause and rewind, please do that. Count your posts. You should have your 2 ends with 2 stitches and only 5 2 double crochet together. Now chain up 3, yarn over, and turn your work. And in that first space between the 2 stitches, place 1 double crochet. In the next space, 3 double crochet your Granny Lancaster stitches. In the next space, the Granny Lancaster 3 double crochets. And in the next stitch, the 3 double crochets again, all the way across until the end of this round. In each space, 3 double crochet. And in between those 2 stitches from the previous row, in the top of the first one, insert a double crochet, and then in the top of the second one, place an extended double crochet. And that keeps that hypotenuse of the right triangle longer than the other 2 sides. And you should have 6 Granny Lancaster 3 double crochet groupings in this row, plus your 2 ends of the 2 stitches. Chain 3 and turn your work. In between those first 2 stitches, place 1 double crochet. In the next space, 3 double crochet Granny Lancaster stitch. Oh, before we do that, I want to go over this motif is still round, just like the Kaleidoscope square was. At some point, we have to straighten it up, and we're going to do that on this row. So finish up those double crochets, and in the next space, place 3 half double crochets. That's how we're going to begin to square up this half round and make it a triangle. And in the next space, first chain 1, and in the next space, 3 half double crochet again. Chain 1, and in the next space, we will have our corner. But you notice how straight this has already become. And this is going to be our corner. Double crochet and extended double crochet, chain 1. Extended double crochet and double crochet. Easy peasy. We've done this in something before. And then chain 1, and then we're back to our half double crochet. You need 3 of those here. And this black yarn wants to be cantankerous with me. And chain 1 and 3 half double crochets in the next space. I was supposed to chain 1 there, but anyway, 3 double crochet there. That's our Granny Lancaster again. And then a double crochet in the space between those 2 end stitches, and then an extended double crochet in the top of that stitch from the previous round. And then slip stitch to end this block and clip your yarn. and pull that slip knot to the back. I didn't get such a great job on this one, but nonetheless, it works. Now, this is our beautiful kaleidoscope triangle. After I weave in all my yarn ends, I will be misting all of these blocks we've made today and putting them on the blocking board. Again, this is optional. What follows is the wrap-up for this tutorial to let you know how many of each block you'll need to make. You'll notice that there are several choices depending on what style of sweater you choose to make. That will be more clear when you join me for the next tutorial when I show you the diagrams of how to lay out your sweater before we join them. Feel free to screenshot these frames that indicate how many of each motif you will need for your sweater. Each of these kaleidoscope motifs are so small, they don't take very long to do. I was amazed that within 3 days I had all of my motifs made for my sweater, and I had a few blocks left over that I can use in something else. But there are several options for the sweater depending on if you want to have the kaleidoscope square for your sleeves or you want to go a different direction with your solid color. We'll discuss that at length in the next part of this series. And now, here's a sneak peek of what my sweater is looking like. Enjoy, and until next time, keep calm and crochet on.